right, so let me go through this. It's going to be a long-winded kind of speaking. We're going to go through the entire case. I bring you guys up to snuff with the entire case when we go into this, because this particular situation has been... sorry, let me get this right. There we go. There we go. Now we can get it bigger. Okay, now we got them. All right. Sorry, guys. I wanted to make sure we got that set up. So I go through, kind of bring you through chronological order about what happened. It's a little drawn out going into this case, but I find it very, very important because I need people to be up to snuff on this, because this particular interview we broke down, this is part 4 of it. So, you know, in case somebody wasn't here for part 1, 2, or 3, I want to make sure. Now that sounds delicious. Maple brown sugar oatmeal. Ooh, that does sound good. Aw, thank you. SRK, it's nice to see you. Thank you. Let me go over here. I saw a few people. I just didn't have a chance to say hi to you guys this morning. So before we start, let's just go ahead and go through here. If you guys would love to, I do have a goal for 10 teal super chats just to show some channel love and let us know how you're doing today. I'd like some positivity if possible. And this is, of course, you know, obviously not required, but always appreciated when you guys do participate. Melanie participated this morning, so thank you for that. Happy Tuesday, Betty, Delilah, mods, and chat. Please don't forget to hit the like button for BHB. Much love to you, Betty. Thank you so much. It's Anna Scoop and Hope Floats. Thank you for becoming the newest members of this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Well, another one just for good measure. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room. Welcome aboard. And of course, SRK, been with us 16 months. Oh my gosh, it's hard to believe. Thank you. Good morning, Betty. It's been a journey. Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you so much. So many of you guys know that this is a case. This is right over here. This is Daniel. I just found out his name. He runs the Drunk Turkey Show. And then over on the other side, which my arm won't go that far, is Daniel Martell. And this is the stepfather to Lilly and Jack Sullivan, which have been missing since the spring morning, May 2nd, 2025. And they have not been seen or heard from since. So, give me a second, folks. It looks like I got somebody here. Somebody must have had they must have known we were talking about food. I don't know how this person thinks I'm going to be able to eat 2 breakfast sandwiches, but what? Do you want one? Oh, here's some ham. Want some egg too? You want to try some egg? Okay, there you go. There you go, mamas. Huh? Might as well take a bite for myself. Okay. Let's get back to business. Thank you, Mr. Glenn, for the breakfast. What? You want some more? Here. Take a few pieces. Here you go. There you go. There you go, baby. Okay, enjoy. Okay, guys. We're back. So, in a quiet rural community of Lansdowne Station, Pictou County. Nobody was there. That was a little weird. I could have sworn I heard the doorbell, but I guess not. Okay, so we're back. This is going to be the last of our distractions. Aw, thank you, Powder Dusty. All right, this is the last of our distractions, hopefully. We'll see. Okay, in a quiet rural community of Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, a family's worst nightmare unfolded on the spring morning, May 2nd, 2025. 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack vanished from their home on Gairloch Road, sparking one of the most extensive searches in the province's history. What started as a possible wandering incident has evolved into a mystery shrouded in speculation and unanswered questions. Today, over 5 months later, the siblings remain missing, with no confirmed sightings since the day before their disappearance. Here's the factual background of what we know presented in chronological order. On April 30th, 2025, Lily, Jack, their mother Malehya, stepfather Daniel, and younger sister Meadow went to a friend's house together. We heard that it was Patty, and they were going there to wash clothes. Returning home around 10:20 p.m., and this is where Daniel, the stepfather, reported that Lily returned home with a black eye. This was from a Tonka truck popping up and hitting her in the face while at Patty's house. The next day, May 1st, the family was captured on surveillance footage at the Dollarama in New Glasgow around 2:25 p.m. The children were kept home from school that day due to Lily's cough. Many of us believe the reason why they were kept out of school was because of the clear and present black eye on her face. Malehya later reported putting the kids to bed between 9 and 10 p.m., while Martell stayed up longer. However, in this interview earlier, we learned that Daniel was working on the fence, allegedly, and when he came in from working on the fence, he did not hear the children that evening, and he was surprised that Malehya had told law enforcement that she put them to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. because he says when he came in, he doesn't remember hearing them. Which to me, I feel like he's trying to throw her under the bus because of that. On the morning of May 2nd at 6:15 a.m., Malehya notified the school that the children would be absent due to an illness. Now, I'm very, very confused about this statement because Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show asked Daniel Martell, the children's stepfather, whether or not Malehya had gotten up or left the house at any time while he was sleeping. And he said, he doesn't see how, blah, blah, this, but he had just stated in a prior statement just moments before Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show asking Daniel Martell this question, he had stated that Malehya got up and called the kids in and reported them missing from school. So which is it? Because he's trying to say that he doesn't think Malehya could have gotten out of bed without waking him up. He's talking about the kids coming in and out of the room multiple times, so it doesn't sound like he truly was sleeping. So I'm very confused about this, but he's trying to portray that he was sleeping during this time and that he has no knowledge of what happened other than Lily being in the room and when he went into the living room after hearing Jack in the kitchen, he stated that it didn't appear that Jack had been in the kitchen because when Jack's in the kitchen, usually chairs are moved, cabinets are opened and not closed. It's very noticeable that the kids were in the kitchen getting something. And he reported in this interview that we're seeing earlier on, we're not going to go back to it right now, but that it didn't appear that Jack had been in the kitchen, although he heard Jack in the kitchen, which is really weird for me. Really, really weird for me. Between 8 p.m. and 9:40, while the parents were in their bedroom with Meadow, Lilly was seen entering and exiting the room several times, and Jack was heard in the kitchen. Around 8:50 in the morning, Martell's mother, Janie McKenzie, who lives on the property, heard the children playing and laughing in the backyard alone before she decided to go back to bed and fall asleep, allegedly. Shortly before 10:01 a.m., the parents searched outside after realizing the children were gone, noting the front door wrenched was undisturbed, suggesting they exit through the back sliding door. At 10:01, Malehya called 911 to report the children missing. Lilly was believed to be wearing pink sweater, pink pants, and pink boots. Jack in blue dinosaur boots. During the search, Martell thought he heard the children's a child scream, but could not confirm due to overhead helicopters. Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show did ask Daniel earlier in this interview whether that was true, and he did confirm that that was true, but he couldn't tell whether it was, possible searchers hollering back and forth. There is the possibility to that as well. By 12:25, the RCMP issued a statement initially believing the children had wandered off and there was no signs of abduction. They've never walked back or stated they believe now that there's an abduction. They've maintained that they believe that something's not right here, but they have absolutely denounced the possibility of an abduction. That's from the RCMP. In the early hours of May 3rd. Now remember, we are learning from this, and I didn't have this information yesterday when we were going through this, but we have this information today. Hey, Hobo's Life, Mama, Pebbles, Peggy, it's nice to see you. I hope you guys are all doing well. Frank, everybody else that's in the chat, I know I haven't said hi to you specifically, but good morning. I do appreciate it, and I must have missed something here, because I see there's a second, let's see, what did I miss? Who did I miss? Aw, Mama, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate that. I missed you. I missed that. I must have been reading. That's the only thing that takes my mind off these things. So thank you. I appreciate that. But, when we were listening to this, we did learn that the pink blanket happened between the 2nd and the 3rd. They found the pink blanket sometime on the 3rd. And I find that the 3rd in the afternoon. And I find it awfully funny because look who's up in the middle of the night on the 3rd. In the early morning hours of May 3rd, around 12:45 a.m., Malehya contacted police suspecting the children's estranged biological father, Cody, might have taken them to New Brunswick. So this was going on in the middle of the night on the 3rd. This is the same time when somebody reached into a bag, a 60-gallon construction bag, and tore a piece of pink blanket that was observed the next day in a tree in the opposite direction, kind of going toward Daniel's uncle's house. Interesting. Officers visited Sullivan's home around 2:50 a.m., where he denied involvement of having not seen the children in 3 years. That day, searches expanded to over 100 police and volunteers using ground teams, drones, dogs, and helicopters. By May 4th, the search involved 160 people. Now, by May 4th, Malehya Brooks-Murray had already took off, never came back to the scene, blocked Daniel, and removed all photos of Daniel from her social media. That happened on May 3rd, the afternoon of May 3rd. So by May 4th, now mom's gone, Daniel's still out there, his mom's still out there, and they've got the search involving 160 people. Martell publicly urging the checks of the borders and airports for possible abductions. May 6th, Martell reported back Malehya had left the family and blocked him on social media. Children's maternal grandmother, Cindy Murray, which is Malehya's mom, stated that she's not speaking because police told them to limit media interaction. They still have not spoke all these months later. That tells me that Malehya knows something, and her mother is protecting her, because no grandmother is going to sit in silence. Look at Belinda Gray. She's not sitting in silence. But Cindy Murray is Malehya's mother, and so is Janie. The search was scaled back on May 7th, 2025, the police stating no confirmed sightings and low chance of survival. A renewed effort on May 18th included 115 volunteers and police. On May 28th, 2025, RCMP confirmed the May 1st Dollarama sighting. By June 11th, 2025, investigation involved 11 RCMP units, hundreds of hours of videos, 54 interviews with some polygraph. I don't trust the polygraph test after hearing how they were administered by Daniel in this specific interview, so we need to look at that. The polygraph shows that Brooks-Murray, Malehya, as well as Daniel, as mostly truthful, along with others, though Janie McKenzie was inconclusive or could not be taken because of the medication she was on. June 19th, Nova Scotia offered a $150,000 reward for valuable information. In August 2025, released documents revealed Lily's pink blanket found in a tree a kilometer away. It obviously there was people setting up stuff around this scene, and there's no reason to set up anything around a scene of children that wandered off unless the children truly didn't wander off. So I am using the approach of, just because of all this stuff that's happened, the shoe print, the cleared torn blanket that was planted, it is telling me that these children are deceased, that these children have been met with foul play, and somebody is trying to throw off the investigation. That's what it's telling me. Witness reported seeing similar children approaching a woman in a gold or tan sedan on May 2nd. That information came 30 days later, and the children were reported much older than what Lilly and Jack would have been reported as. Over 760 tips had come in. 8,000 videos were reviewed, with forensic testing ongoing. The paternal grandmother called for public inquiry, citing prior child protective concerns. On May 19th, the RCMP announced the use of cadaver dogs in the new search, which is surprising. They should have had them out there long before that. Earlier this month, October 2025, they had more than 820 tips have been received, but family members remain, but the children remain unfound. They've never been found. No sightings have been seen of them either, which is another red flag. Public sentiments has been marked by frustration and widespread speculation, fueled by the lack of concrete updates by authorities. Many online communities, including true crime enthusiasts and platforms like Bullhorn Betty here on YouTube, as well as Reddit, believe the children didn't simply wander off, but met with foul play, possibly an accident or intentional, at home or nearby, given the dense terrain and absence of trace. Rumors swirl around the family dynamic, including the parents' estranged post-disappearance and unverified claims of prior concerns like bruises on Jack and black eyes on Lily. Some family members, like Belinda Gray, expressed doubt that the children are alive and rely on true crime shows for information, which have generated tips but also spread misinformation. Discussion often highlights red flags in parental interviews and neighbor accounts, such as vehicles heard leaving the property the night before. Overall, the public feels the case points to something suspicious rather than a simple accident, with calls for more transparency from the RCMP, but there's still hope, and you can still help. The Nova Scotia government is offering a $150,000 reward for information leading to the children's location. If you have any details, no matter how small, please contact the Northeast Nova Scotia RCMP Major Crimes Unit at 902-896-5060 or Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-222 8477. So what we've learned in this interview so far up to this point is that it appears that Daniel is really trying his hardest to distance himself from the situation. He, at the very beginning, a lot of his interviews were geared toward him. They were geared more toward him being the caretaker of these children, being, Malehya after having the baby, didn't want the children, didn't seem to be all that engaged in the children. Oh, thank you, Hobo's Life. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Hobo's Life thank you, and welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Grab your straitjacket and your padded room and welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. It looks like Kentucky's Life. Got it. Nice to see you. Welcome to the family. But it sounded like he started distancing himself. He started talking about being out, working on the fence with his mom and coming in and the kids not being there. That he was surprised that Malehya told law enforcement that they were in bed by 9 or 10 o'clock because he doesn't remember them at all when he came in the house from working on the fence. That's the first time we started getting this indication that it's possible that they, Malehya was alone with the children and he never saw the children again. Now, he does claim he heard Lilly come in and out of the bedroom several times that morning, but I don't know if he said he saw her. We're going to have to go back to those initial interviews and really hone in on some specificity and compare it, because this is the most thorough, in my opinion, so far, this is the most thorough interview we've had on the record. Now, I do believe mainstream media has had him on the record, and he's been interviewed by them, but the problem is with mainstream media, they hack and cut all these interviews to fit a segment on their TV versus where we here on social media, some of our shows last 30 minutes, some of our shows last 5 hours. It depends on how long or how much information we have that we need to get out to our audience. I try to find when things get too long, I know that my audience only has so much brain activity, okay? You can't sit here literally all day and absorb a lot of the stuff we're doing. So I try to keep my shows 1 to 2 hours tops. I really don't like going over to the 3 and 4 hours. Sometimes we will, but I really don't like doing that. I think that's entirely too much information. And I think when we have entirely too much information, things get skewed, misinformation happens, it's unintentional, but it does progress that way. But I do feel like when we start a show that you guys retain mostly the stuff in the very beginning of the show and the stuff at the very end of the show. So the stuff in the middle of the show is kind of up, as a toss-up. It's a toss-up. So I try to bring stuff in the middle that will, hold in the brain, but sometimes it doesn't. You get the first stuff and the last stuff. That stuff always stays in the brain. So I try to, break it down like that and try to find stopping points and then go back and explain what we've got going on here. So the first thing that I noticed throughout this up to this point is now he is really distancing himself from the children. And one thing that we did learn is that there was 2 pink blankets that were found. He's trying to distance himself from the pink blanket that was torn. We went over that because he specifically stated that the pink blanket came out of their garbage can from a 60-gallon garbage bag. There's no way, unless somebody is the only way that somebody knew where that pink blanket was in that bag is if somebody put that pink blanket in that bag and reached into that bag for that pink blanket. Otherwise, that entire bag would have been ripped to shreds trying to find something to tear off. But they stuck their hand right in the right spot and pulled out the pink blanket and went and planted it. That tells me that somebody that packed that bag or was there when that 60-gallon garbage bag was packed would be the only people that would know where that pink blanket was or that pink blanket was in the garbage can. So that limits very much a lot of different people that were out there at the scene. He did confirm that there were some screams that they heard through the helicopter. They went through a questionnaire. The search continued throughout the night. The first night, on the second pink blanket was found, but it was found separately, and there was other items, that kid items, found separately, and they looked at them, and they weren't any of the kid's stuff. The only thing that was the kid's stuff was the torn pink blanket in the tree, which was heading over toward his Uncle Ron's house. The footprint from the pipeline, as well as the pink blanket, were all roaming toward his uncle's house. The command center was a significant area away over a little bridge on Lansdowne Station Road. The boot prints were found in the middle of the night. They say that there were searches going on in the middle of the night, and they found the boot print potentially in the middle of the night. He said there was thousands of ribbons on trees out there. And then they do the interrogation. He was interrogated for like 45 minutes to an hour at a facility or in their vehicles on May 3rd. And then the next day, I believe it was, they had to go sit down for 4 hours. And we went over the polygraph questions. I wasn't a fan of the questioning. The polygraph questions, in my opinion, again, I'm not an expert in polygraphs, but I've seen a lot of them, seen a lot of questionnaires, and I've spoke to a lot of agents that have done them. And one thing that they've drilled into my head is that they have to be very, very simple questions, not compounding questions, not multiple questions into one question. Very simple questions. Do you know what happened to Lily? Do you know what happened to Jack? Were you there when they disappeared? Do you know what their location is? You know? And even saying what their location is going to be tricky, because something could have happened differently to Jack and something could have happened differently to Lily. And so by combining them together, that's what's making me feel like the polygraph was skewed or not accurate, not as accurate as it could have been. Their questions should have been very simple. Did you murder Lily? Did you murder Jack? Did you dispose of Lily? Did you dispose of Jack? You know, do you know the location of Lily? Do you know the location of Jack? By saying, do you know the location of Lily and Jack, that's a compounded question, because what if Lily and Jack are in two separate locations? So you see where I'm going with this. So I didn't really like it up front, but I digress. Here we are. We're back. I went ahead and went back about a minute. I think I'll go back another minute. I'm going to excuse myself just for a second, and then we'll be back to discuss.
This is going to be about the disappearance.
This is going to be we went back 2 minutes, so from yesterday where we stopped, so you guys can hear what the last thing we heard was, to help trigger your mind if you were here yesterday.
Aspect,
they wanted to rule out death as quick as possible, so because that would narrow everything down. Because if they knew that the children were deceased, that would completely narrow it down. They wouldn't have to ask them this on the disappearance.
So you take the polygraph test. Is there any questioning after the polygraph?
No, I actually did 3 polygraphs back to back. It took a total of 3 hours I was there for.
Oh, really? 3
Yeah.
And it was the same questions over and over
The same questions over and over and over. And then they showed me a piece of paper at the end, and it said, like, it showed you like all the stuff on the polygraph, and I passed.
That's crazy.
And then after that, I was taken into a separate room, and where I sat with major crimes officers, and we just talked.
And that conversation, what was the basis of it?
Oh, the conversation after the polygraph?
Yeah.
Just chatting with a couple of major crimes officers.
It wasn't about the case in specific?
No, it wasn't about the case at all.
All right. And so, the polygraph test is over. You walk out. How is communication with law enforcement after that?
It definitely improved, but they weren't really hard on me at all, even from the start, because I was so cooperative. You know what I mean? There was a lot of inside jokes, and it was
Inside jokes. I know that we can't get mad at law enforcement because their job is to break down people, is to make them a lot more comfortable with them being there and talking to them and stuff like that. So I absolutely, I'm not offended. Let me just say it like that. I'm not offended that they were joking around or, trying to whatever. But I feel like Daniel keeps going because I was so cooperative. You hear him say that multiple times. Like, they weren't really worried because I was so cooperative. They weren't doing this because I was so cooperative. And I don't like that because, there's a lot of people that are cooperative that are in jail right now for the crimes that they were being so cooperative about. So let's put that to the side, because the evidence here is showing 2 children disappeared. Mother left home, never wanted to talk to the stepfather again. The children are still missing. Mom has never been back to the area again. And now we're finding out there's potential for planting of evidence, predominantly the pink blanket. That shows me that somebody was trying to throw off the search into these children. And these children just wandered off, and there's no criminality here. Why would anybody want to be throwing this search off? And we know it had to come from somebody inside that home, because who would have known about the pink blanket being in this garbage bag? And according to Daniel in this interview, he says that there was a perfect one little fist-sized hole in the bag where it looked like somebody put their hand in there, ripped what they wanted to rip out, ripped their hand out, and went on their way. No third party that was not in that house and did not know that there was not a pink blanket. These 60-gallon construction bags are big black bags. You can't see through them. You guys know that. You've seen them before. You can't see through them. So how in the world would somebody know that there's a blanket that can be torn right there? The only people that would have known are the people that packed that bag. Period. I could not go there and say, go to their garbage can and say, they've got something in this bag that I can plant somewhere. Let me see what it is. I mean, you're talking about them having a baby. Nobody is sticking their hand into a garbage bag that they cannot see through when they know there could be a dirty, disgusting, nasty diaper in that bag. The only person that would have known there was no diapers in that bag is the person that put that blanket in that bag. So somebody from that home that lived in that trailer that was with those kids planted that pink blanket in a tree somewhere, because there's nobody else that could have done that. There's nobody that had the motive, the means, or the opportunity. Thank you, Hobo's Life. Aww. I get a treat. I get an ice cream. Or a cup of coffee. So let's just keep moving.
It's a different experience than I think most people would think of.
Yeah.
They were actually, pretty lenient with me. Like, driving fast in the car on the highway, and them guys throwing jokes out and everything like that. It was a different experience.
Good deal. But like, as far as the amount of communication, did they, after you took the polygraph test, did they continue to talk to you the same amount, or did that?
Yeah, they continued to talk to me the same amount until about, I would say, maybe 2 months in. It was after that CBC interview.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It kind of like tapered off after that, and then in the last month. just chatting with a couple of major crimes officers.
It wasn't about the case in specific.
No, it wasn't about the case at all.
All right. And so, the polygraph test is over. You walk out.
I have no sound. I had my microphone turned off. Okay. You guys could hear the sound of this. Okay, you were muted. Okay, gotcha. Sorry about that. I was yapping. I forgot what I said now.
How is communication with law enforcement after that?
It definitely improved, but they weren't really hard on me at all, even from the start, because I was so cooperative. You know what I mean? There was a lot of inside jokes, and it was a different experience than I think most people would think of.
Yeah,
they were actually pretty lenient with me, like driving fast in the car on the highway, and them guys throwing jokes out and everything like that. It was a different experience.
Good deal. But like, as far as the amount of communication, did they, after you took the polygraph test, did they continue to talk to you the same amount, or did that kind of
they continued to talk to me the same amount until about, I would say, maybe 2 months in. It was after that CBC interview. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It kind of like tapered off after that, and then in the last month and a half.
Oh, I know what I was saying. I know what I was saying. I went back to I was conversating right here. We had gotten back to this point, and I was saying that he said that they were communicating with him up until the CBC interview, and I was like, well, which one was that? Is that where his mom was telling the reporter, the stuff that went to the integrity of the investigation, like the sliding glass door and other information about what happened that day? Is that the stuff that tapered off? I'm not sure. I think they are buttering him up. Possibly. I see that Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show keeps some very, same face no matter what.
The officers have only or investigators have only came to me 2 times, once for the human remains dogs and once to get all Lilly and Jack's belongings for Malehya.
Oh, all the belongings.
Yeah, that's kind of indicative of somebody who, if
all the belongings of the kids have been removed from his house. Malehya removed all the kids' stuff. Sorry. Removed all the kids' belongings. That's interesting. We didn't know that before.
If they suspected you, they want to talk to you as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want you to talk as much as you can.
But you have to remember, after my visits with Meadow, I would always stop in at major crimes. I mean, I walk into the front desk of the department. I said, Daniel, you can go meet him around back. Go to the back door where major crimes headquarters is.
Yeah.
So
how are things with Meadow? How are your visitations going?
My visits with Meadow are going pretty good. There's not really much I can say other than that with all the court stuff. I mean, I don't have another court hearing for almost like 3 months, I think. So.
And have you spoken with Malehya since any of this has happened?
Yes, I did. I did one time.
How did that go?
Actually, there was twice. First time, when she was on the run with Meadow, fled to the reserve when she wasn't being supervised.
Ooh, so she was on the run. With Meadow. So that rumor ended up being true, folks. She did run away with Meadow and ran to the reservation. That's just been confirmed. Okay, reservation. Huh. Interesting. Meadow looks amazing. She really filled out, looks healthy. Aw, that's cute. But I was surprised because we heard that rumor, but we didn't know if it was true. We couldn't confirm that Betty, thank you for, oh, you must have got the package. Oh, great. I'm glad you enjoyed the thank you gift. I'm glad you enjoyed the thank you gift. Don't forget to throw a picture. Take a picture of it and post it. You don't have to wear the stuff if you don't want your face on it, but just take a picture of the items so Sonia can post that onto Facebook or something.
Actually, there was twice. First time, when she was on the run with Meadow, fled to the reserve when she wasn't being supervised. Darren called me and said Malehya's unsupervised. So then I called Malehya's phone from my aunt's phone because I was at my uncle's at the time. Used my aunt's phone. I called Malehya's phone. Malehya picked up, and I could tell from the background that she was in a moving vehicle. So Darren was correct on that. And so then I called major crimes investigators, and I said, Malehya's on the run with Meadow. And they said, there's nothing we can do, Daniel. You got to call CPS for that. Called CPS, but they were already closed. And it was actually Cindy, her own mother, which called CPS on Malehya, which had Meadow removed.
Cindy's the one that had Meadow removed. And so, but I heard her and her mom didn't have a very good relationship, but that's interesting. So Cindy is the one that called, and had Meadow removed. Sorry, guys. I have to make sure I get these notes. If I don't write these notes, I'll forget the information.
And so that's something new that the public probably doesn't know.
And what ended up resulting? What happened? Did CPS find her, pick her up?
CPS went to her father's house along with RCMP, I do believe, and they actually took Meadow out of her care while she was at Henry's.
Gotcha. And Meadow's been in CPS since?
She's in foster care.
Ooh.
Gotcha. And are there any is there an end result in that? Do you guys think that she'll be in foster care for much longer?
Not sure at the moment. I mean, there's so many moving parts in this, Daniel. I'm not sure, especially with Jack and Lily being missing in that case.
Yeah, that means law enforcement doesn't believe they didn't have anything to do with it, guys. Because, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of people out there that have missing children that have been abducted, that have wandered off, that have, got hurt, injured, deceased because of wandering off. Just because you have a missing child doesn't mean that your house is so unstable that you can't care for the other children. Okay, there's a reason when they start pulling the children from the home, they believe you are a threat to that child. They don't pull a child from the home unless they think that the child's in danger. And so for this child to not even be in the family's care, he didn't say that that Meadow's staying with an aunt, uncle, or grandparent. He stated that Meadow's in foster care. Foster care. That's significant, folks, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. And we do have to take into consideration this is based on United States law, okay? Canada law is much different than the United States law. While I do realize we mimic some of the same laws, that doesn't mean that they're applied the same way, that the same law, how they conduct their law, their courts and stuff, from my opinion, are different than the way we conduct our laws and our court systems here in America. So we have to take that into consideration when we're talking about this, because sometimes I'm talking from knowledge of America law, not Canadian law. This is our first case that we've ever covered that's over our country lines, our country borders. We've never covered a case in a different country before, and this is in Canada. While it's a neighboring country, it's still a different country than America.
Because they're Malehya's children, CPS it has them included into the court case. Like they have them included in the court cases because it's involuntary, right? Because she's the mother of them. She's connected to Meadow, so they're automatically seen in the court case.
Are there any stipulations that you have? Like, are you forced to take any drug tests or anything like that?
Drug tests, and I have to do therapy, psychological exam. What else do we have? There's so many things.
Wow.
I mean, I have meetings with my lawyer, that takes time too for that case.
And I'm assuming since you're
lots.
still meeting with her that you're passing all these things, drug test, everything's passing.
Yeah.
Good deal.
I do all that. I tried to do as much as I can. I even asked him the other day.
So he's going through the process. This doesn't sound good. They don't trust this man with kids. I can tell you that, because he's saying that they're doing drug testing. They're requiring him to do therapy, and he stated so many things. I'm gonna put that in quotes because that's what he said. They have him doing so many things, which I'm not gonna. Canada, Tennessee kids aren't getting justice. I agree with that. But I'm glad that he's doing it, and I'm glad they're forcing most likely Malehya to do the same type of classing, school and learning sessions for these kids. But I try to acknowledge that some of these things make people feel good, right? They're not really therapy, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that it's not therapy. It's just a way to get more money. Like I've went to some of these things with, you guys know my history. Back in my 20s when I was all messed up, I had to go to do some stuff like this, and it was a joke. It was a joke. Okay? I'm telling you, it was a joke. These are not effective measures. These are feel-good measures. These are some bureaucrats saying, but if we can make them go here and listen to this, then things will be better. And these are from people that have never had abuse or anything in a day in their life. They don't even know what the hell they're talking about. They're getting paid $25 a head, whether they make sense or not. All you're required to do is show up. I don't consider these things effective therapy. They're jumping through hoops, but, the hoops should be worth jumping through. It shouldn't just be, we just want to see if they'll actually do it. We're not going to really give them the real therapy. The drug stuff, we all know that those things can be everything in this world, okay? The only thing that stays in your system for a significant amount of time is marijuana, okay? That's it. Meth, cocaine, crack, all that other stuff, even pills, even pharmaceuticals, those are usually out of your system in 93 hours. All of them. So you basically, if you can stay away from marijuana, you're going to be able to pass your drug test. Okay, that's just the name of the game. Okay, unless you are just a complete utter junkie, you should be able to pass any type of drug test. Okay, the harder the stuff, the quicker it's out of your system. Okay. So this whole drug test stuff, unless it's a hair follicle test, I ain't buying it, okay? Sorry, not sorry. I've been around the block, okay? Professional drug addict here, okay? Professional from the 20s, okay? I've been taking care of myself for a long time. I talk freely about the walk that I went through. I do it because I like to be frank about a lot of stuff, especially about now that we're here, what works, what doesn't. I don't want to hear about drug tests. Drug tests are absolutely insignificant in today's society. Okay? We got real significant substances that are out of your system, usually in 24 to 48 hours. Cut it out. Even a fiend can go 24 to 48 hours without using, just to pass a drug test. So I don't buy the drug test stuff. It's absolutely a waste of everybody's time. Just my personal opinion about it. But hopefully he is staying clean. He has a lot of children. He has at least 3 of his own children, at least 3. And he needs to be the father for them. He needs to get his life together. He needs to get out of that trailer. He needs to start working. He needs to start being a good, upstanding father that wants to, be the role model for his children, which still to this day I don't see him doing. He comes to the internet to tell us about, pity me, it's not me, poor me. There's nothing here that he's trying to advocate for the children. He's basically in a self-preservation mode here on the Drunk Turkey Show. Just in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure that Daniel from the Drunk Turkey Show will corroborate or at least concur with my conclusion. Because if this really truly was about the kids, he would have photos of the kids. He would be showing us photos of the kids. He would be constantly redirecting the conversation back to the children. He's not doing any of those things that we'd like to see. Everybody wants to know, are you involved? Of course. But you can say, no, I'm not involved. But, you know, let's get back to the children. Let's get back to the children. Lily and Jack were seen here. This is the information that I'm able to share about Lily and Jack's case. But you don't see that. Whenever you talk to, say, Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, if you're talking to him about things, you'll always notice, no matter what you're talking to him about, he's always trying to get that conversation always back to Sebastian. Always back to Sebastian. Always back to Sebastian. It doesn't matter what rabbit hole you're going down, he always makes sure he gets back to Sebastian, his son, his missing son, and he starts talking about his missing son. No matter where you are, he's always talking about his missing son. No matter what you're talking about, he's always going to redirect that conversation back to his missing son. These are things that I expect from families. You talk to Jen Santinello. Okay, I just spoke to her about some, another matter and got an update for her daughter. What does she do? She brings it right back to her daughter. How are you doing? I'm doing great. However, my daughter is still, we still haven't found my daughter, da-da-da-da. She starts going, she never worries about what she's going through. She never sits there and dwells on how bad her day is or how concerned she is. She wants to get right back to her daughter. So these are the parents that I work with from case to case. And you know what? Out of all the parents I work with, because I refuse to work with people that could possibly be involved in the child's case. So the only time I work hand in hand with a family member or a person is when I know that they have had nothing to do with the case. They have no culpability, even an iota of a possibility of having anything to do with it. So I know when I'm dealing with the parents, I'm dealing with parents that are truly grieving, not ones that are fake grieving, right? So I get an experience that no others get because I can feel, I can touch, and I can see the grief from these parents when they have a missing child. And I also see the lack thereof from the parents that did something to their missing child. Okay, like Chris and Katie Proudfoot, like Daniel and Malehya, like Jacqueline and Trezell West, Leilani Simon. The list goes on. Adam Montgomery. The list goes on. You see clear differences in the behavior of guilty parents as opposed to parents that don't know what happened to their children. And Daniel and Malehya are exhibiting the behaviors that are attributed to parents that have guilty knowledge. Don and Candace, another great example. Thanks. Yes, yes, yes.
We had a private conference with the lawyers, and there was a lawyer from the ministry for foster care and my caseworkers. And I asked them if there's anything extra they can do. They said, no, not right now. It's just like you already have like enough on your plate right now. Just keep up doing that stuff. Because, most days, Daniel, I'm pretty busy.
Yeah. And so, speaking of CPS, there's been a lot of speculation about the kids being...
What did he just say?
Haven't been busy.
Most of his days, he's busy? Doing what? For F's sakes, doing what? What in the world is this man doing? He's barely working. Cut it out.
Most days, Daniel, I'm pretty busy.
What? I'm sure people have been wanting this man to work, right, and take care of his family. I can't figure out how in the world that Malehya's not working. He's only working one day, and she can afford a 2017 Nissan Pathfinder. A 2017 Nissan, that's not a beater, okay? Where's the money coming from? Where in the flip is the money coming from? It's coming from somewhere. It's got to be. Who has the money? And now he's busy? What is he doing?
Yeah.
He's busy now, but couldn't be busy when he had a full house and he was dad?
And so, speaking of CPS,
Whatever.
There's been a lot of speculation about the kids having been visited by CPS and things of that nature. Can you clear that up?
I will actually clear that up. I cleared it up many times online, but there's still people that seem to have misconceptions on that. Okay. So CPS actually did come to the house, and that was about Jack and Lily's behavior, especially at school. And then they were about to be diagnosed with,
So that's a little concerning. Yeah, first of all, CPS doesn't come to people's house. Child and Children Protective Services don't come to people's house because a child is acting out in school. Unless a child is acting out in school in a very specific way that is attributed to abuse, you're not going to be visited by the Department of Children and Family Services for behavior at school. I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of kids at school that have crappy behaviors that aren't visited by the Department of Children and Family Services. So I kind of really don't believe this explanation. Now, again, I've got to apply the fact that this is Canada. Canada might have some different rules I'm unaware of, so I'm going to have to defer to somebody from Canada that may have had some... that knows the Department of Children and Family Services protocols out there. I mean, if they're the same as the United States in that respect, then they're not coming to these parents because of poor behavior at school. You're gonna have to prove it to me. This aspect of it, you're gonna have to prove it to me to make me a believer.
Go be sent for the diagnosis of autism. The school wanted that, and me and Malehya wanted that as well. The main reason why CPS came out is to, give us phone numbers and give us some instruction and who could we go to learn more about dealing with their behaviors.
So it had nothing to do with a black eye?
No.
What's the story?
I don't believe that. And not only that, but he acknowledged Lily getting a black eye the night before they were called in for school. And within 48 hours, both the kids were gone.
Behind the black eyes, because I think it's been something a lot of people have been asking about, that there's multiple black eyes. What would you want to clear up about that?
I mean, the black eyes, it definitely was not from me. Daniel would come out and say that first. Come out, because I know the world thinks that, and that's absolutely heartbreaking for me to be accused of that stuff.
I'm sorry. People have been having kids since the human being existed, okay? And out of all of these hundreds of years or billions of years or millions of years or however long our planet, I'm not smarter than a fifth grader, don't expect me to be, however long our planet has been here and however long there's been human beings on this planet, we have been procreating children, okay? And a lot of children have been born in this world that are roughhousing and don't wear a pair of matching black eyes multiple times. I don't think it's been uncommon. I've seen a baby with a black eye before from hitting their head on I witnessed it. So I know that children do get black eyes from doing things to themselves unintentionally. One child fell over right into the corner of a coffee table. It's in the living room. And whack their face and bruise the nose and blacken the eyes. I've seen that. I've witnessed that with myself. I've also witnessed a friend of mine playing roughhousing with her child, and her child took the shoe and kicked her right in the face and gave her a black eye. I've witnessed that. So this idea that children don't get black eyes and parents don't get black eyes from their young children is untrue. I know that it's untrue because I personally have visually witnessed these things happen. So I know that they're possible, and I know that there's no culpability whatsoever with wanting to harm a child or that child wanting to harm the parent. the problem is that's happened once, maybe twice in their entire life. In their entire life, and many families that roughhouse never experience a black eye at all. They are, they've been hit where it's red, it's swollen, they've experienced certain things, but never experienced being hit so hard that it blackens the eyes or the skin. In this case, you're talking about multiple children getting multiple black eyes here. You're talking about Jack having a black eye, Lily having a black eye. I have never in the families that I've worked with, in my own families, and me and my sister beat the living shit out of each other. Let me just be honest with you. There were times when my parents divorced that at my dad's house, it was something straight up out of The Shining. We literally, it looked like tumbleweed. Our hair was tumbleweeding down our hallway because me and my sister had our hands wrapped in each other's hair so hard and just hitting the crap out of each other, because that's what we did. We didn't do it all the time. That was like one in a million times. Like, this was a brawl between me and my sister, an absolute brawl. My sister kicked me slap dead in my eye with her freaking Converse shoes. She was an adult. Well, not an adult. We were obviously teenagers, but either way, she was a grown person, is what I'm trying to say. Kicked me with all of her weight, slap in my eye, to the point that I have like an indentation in the bone, but I never got a black eye from it. So I'm just saying that it's very interesting that this particular family gets a whole bunch of black eyes. When we have families, and I've explained to you, innocent stuff and downright brawls. And the families don't have this many black eyes. So why are these children constantly getting black eyes? That is a problem. And yes, we're going to think, because we all have had children. I haven't had biological children, but don't think I haven't had children in my house being raised. I told you guys about my grandchildren and what they did to each other with the big old bite mark and the lump on the side of the head. And I was so angry, all I could do was put them in corners. I know. But you know what I didn't experience in all of that? Is children with black eyes. I had welts, lumps, wondering if I should take them to the emergency room, wondering, couldn't let them go to sleep. Black eyes, and now both are gone. Right, Jamie, exactly. So I'm having a problem with how many black eyes these kids. Now, again, if it was one, one got this one, they were out in the playground, they live out in the dirt. We were out in the country too, folks. And I got to tell you, we roughed house. I'm surprised we didn't break bones. I'm surprised we didn't have black eyes. I'm surprised we weren't half dead. Okay, I won't lie to you. But we weren't. And so I've got to apply these things that I know because I've had experiences to these cases. And in my opinion, there's no way a child should be having this many black eyes. They're just not. Maybe there's, and then it comes back to if they did and they intentionally did this to themselves. Jack, hit Lily, Lily hit Jack, which, in some families it is just like that. Even when they're best buds, go everywhere together, they get into brawls and fights. We understand that. If they were doing that and they were constantly getting black eyes, you would think that the parents would want to monitor them a little bit better and make sure that they're not beating the heck out of each other when they're mad at each other or whatever. But anyways, I have a problem with the black eyes, and I don't believe these are coming from the kids. Not as many as allegedly have.
Because as you can see, and even in the court documents, Malehya refers to as Daniel was an involved parent, and he didn't even physically discipline the kids. If I'm not going to physically discipline them, why would I ever abuse them? That's the first thing.
Disciplining them and getting frustrated and shoving them is two totally different things.
But the most of the black eyes were probably from Lily, because, and I don't want to say 100% because Jack was really clumsy too. Like when we used to take him through the woods.
Well, so Lily and Jack, they did it to themselves. I don't believe it. We all have clumsy kids. How many, for you guys out there, how many of you guys have children? And I want you to be honest with me, because I mean, the only way we're going to learn to find out whether these statements are true or false is being honest, right? So don't be, don't be honest when you're answering this. How many of you guys have had children that have had multiple black eyes at young ages? Not when they get into, middle school and they're fighting every week with whoever they're fighting with, but I'm talking about like little children, because I've got to think that there may be some children, like my little sister, my older sister, she had a bruising problem. So like I could literally touch her skin, and by afternoon, that where I literally touched her skin just like this, not hard, just touched, just pushed in a little bit. And my sister would bruise. She had, I can't remember what it was called. Maybe it was some type of anemia, potentially. But it was really crazy. She wasn't, like a hemophiliac or anything like that, but you could press on her skin, and by that afternoon, she would have a bruise on her. And my mom took her to the doctor because she, of course, when she started getting more active, she was just covered in bruises. It looked like she was getting the shit beat out of her when she wasn't. It was just her horse playing with her friends and stuff like that. So they ended up going, and I can't remember what she was ultimately diagnosed with. But there are people that do have these issues where they bruise very easily. My sister was one. She grew out of it. But there for a long time, she just, you didn't need to do anything. You could literally blow on her, and by the afternoon, she'd have a bruise. I mean, it was crazy. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. So, but I'm reading here that nobody has this many. You guys have clumsy kids, and nobody's had this many. I have 3 kids, never a black eye. 3 grandsons, no black eye. I mean, it takes a lot. I was a roughhouser, okay? You guys know me. I've told you about my story. I don't remember ever having a black eye. I've been in multiple fights. Men, women, it doesn't matter. I was crazy. I was a wild child, right? I was wild child. I was like souped up on all kinds of crap and put out there in the real world. It wasn't pretty, right? It wasn't pretty. And out of all the shenanigans I've done, all the fights I've been in, I don't recall ever sporting a black eye. So I have to think that it's pretty hard to get a black eye. I mean, I've been in some knockdown dragouts. And I'm not talking about the stuff that I've been in wasn't in no police reports. So you guys already know that the police reports are out there. The hate channels have already put them all out on the internet, so it doesn't really matter. Those are nothing burgers. Those are nothing burgers. When you get downtown at these some of these bars, you don't call cops. You don't become a cop caller. You don't want to be known as a cop caller in some of these bars. So those are the places that I used to hang out. Stitches and super glue. Never thought about the super glue. I've never had, out of everything I've been in, men, women, everything, flipped cars, everything like that, never had a black eye, never had a broken bone except my ankle. And that was slipping on the dog's bed. That was when my car was back in, I think, 2015. It was a day from straight hell. It was Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, my car broke down. I was waiting for my friend Nick. God rest his soul. He's dead now. He towed me all the way from Bee Ridge Road to my house on State Road 64. The cord, the cable snapped. We had to tighten it back up. It was a freaking nightmare. I get back there. I'm trying to find an alternator, trying to get the cheapest alternator. Barely had 2 nickels to rub together as I'm running around with my cordless phone. Yes, back in the cordless phone area. Aw, thank you, Brenda. A cordless phone area. I'm trying to call the thing, and I turn this corner and slip on Bailey's bed, and I go down. Nick and Vince are out there in the car. I don't even know what sound I made. It must have been absolutely blood-curdling sound, because next thing I know, the front door is ripping open, and you got Nick's head here and Vince's head here, and they're like, what the hell happened? And I'm just scooting my butt across the floor like I can't walk. I'm just trying to get the alternator in. I'm crying. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And that was very, very, very painful. And it was just a fracture, and I had to be in a walking boot for like 8 weeks. It was no fun. It was no fun. But anyways.
But you fall a lot. I remember one time too, Jack ran right into the doorknob on the door.
Ran into the doorknob. Isn't that like how can Jack run into the doorknob on the door? I want you guys to visualize this. There is no way Jack at 2 and 3 years old could reach a doorknob without stretching his arms up. So how can a doorknob hit him in his eye? You guys hear that? He's too short. You're damn right he is. This man is lying. This man is lying. There's no possibility. I mean, you're going to have to prove it to me. I wasn't there, right? I wasn't there. Neither were you. But it doesn't seem probable.
If I'm not going to physically discipline them, why would I ever abuse them? That's the first thing. But the most of the black eyes were probably from Lily, because...
So the girl gets the black eyes the most. That's interesting. That's interesting. So Lily gets black eyes and Jack gets black eyes. Multiple. And he seems perfectly fine talking to him. But here we have, how many people do we have in chat? We have 96 people in chat right now. And 96 people that are in the chat, 106 now, that are in the chat right now. You cannot tell me that your children, boy or girl, had this many freaking black eyes. Something else is going on for children to keep getting black eyes. I'm sorry. I'm going to trust my gut.
And I don't want to say 100% because Jack was really clumsy too. Like when we used to take him through the woods, he would fall a lot. I remember one time too, Jack ran right into the doorknob on the door. They would throw stuff at each other.
Fell right into the doorknob on the door. My dad abused me, but didn't disappoint me. Interesting. No black eyes, yeah. I can tell you that my oldest 33-year-old, youngest 20, I'm 60, husband 65, none of us have ever had a black eye. Exactly. Exactly. I get it. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
They were quite aggressive toward each other. Then most times when they became aggressive, Malehya couldn't handle them. I had to come home from work 4 or 5 times just due to the fact Malehya couldn't handle the kids. And that's why you can refer to the documents again. Malehya said that Daniel had a voice that the kids listened to.
So he's back to Malehya can't handle the kids. So she can't handle the kids when he's not there, is basically what he's trying to say. But he leaves the kids with her. And now he's blaming her, basically saying, I didn't see the kids the night before. He's speaking out of both sides of his mouth.
Now, was this behavior of them physical? Is that why CPS was called? I mean, you mentioned there was behavior. Were they...
Yeah, it was behavior at school because Jack would refuse to do things, or some days he would do it easily. Other days he would completely refuse. They became aggressive. I remember Lily would try to pull her hair out sometimes when she would get frustrated. So, I mean, there was just...
Are those traits of autism or traits of negligence and not getting attention? You know, there's I just don't trust doctors anymore. I really don't. I don't trust doctors anymore. There's a variety of reasons why I have a hard time trusting doctors. But it makes me wonder, you know, about the children. You know, are they... I know that there is autism, so don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But with parents like this, where they're not providing a good, wholesome living environment for the children, is some of the problems that the school is dealing with is some of these issues from the home environment. You know, that's where my question really is. Kids repeat what they see. Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Didn't discipline, phone. He left the whole grounding me for something I didn't do. Oh, my sisters. My sister, she would blame me for everything. I'd gotten so much trouble for the crap my sister did, it wasn't even funny. But I was always the trouble child, so they always believed it. She was the alleged angel, and they thought she was really good. So I got in trouble. Now, there was a lot of crap I did myself, but she knew how to throw her crap onto me. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm not going to point fingers at Malehya saying that she couldn't handle the kids like 100%.
He just did.
But it was a struggle for her, man. It really was.
Yeah.
And I don't blame her because
she had kids she couldn't take care of, and so she decided to have more kids. Got it.
You know, being a stay-at-home mom isn't easy, right?
Right. No, it's not. I mean, being a parent.
Yeah, but usually parents that stay home with their children don't typically disappear by twos. Okay? I'm sorry. Either Malehya did something or Daniel did something or they both did something.
And in general, it's not easy. And
of course, it's one of the most difficult jobs you'll ever do.
Yeah, and if they did have autism and they had some behavioral issues, I mean, that can only add to it as well. And so none of the reasoning. Well, let me rephrase this. So CPS doesn't have anything open when it comes to Jack and Lily currently. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's good to know. There's not an open investigation. There's nothing there.
No.
Okay.
I don't know if I agree with that because according to, unless we were lied to by Chris and Katie Proudfoot, which, wouldn't surprise me if we were, they told us that because Sebastian is missing, there is an open CPS investigation into his missing person. And he's saying that there is no active or open investigation. That I don't know how I feel about that. Either Chris and Katie are lying or Daniel and Malehya are lying. I don't know which. I would probably garner to say that Chris and Katie are lying, but, I don't know.
And so the cadaver dogs come out here recently. Now, a lot of people have been speculating because you had a vehicle traffic incident that occurred.
Yeah.
I guess the timing behind that's a lot of people.
Traffic accident? Did anybody hear about this traffic accident? Hold on, let me write this down. Traffic incident. Hold on. Traffic incident. Oh, forgot an E there. Let's say. Okay. Let's listen to this. This is new information for me.
People are kind of trying to connect some dots. What happened with the traffic accident?
Okay, we got pulled over.
I mean, not accident, incident. I've said accident.
Yeah, incident. That's right. Yeah, I only got into one accident ever. We don't want to talk about that. But yeah, the incident is I got pulled over.
When?
And the vehicle wasn't the registration wasn't in my name. But now it is. The vehicle sitting in the driveway and everything like that. I didn't receive any fines, and the car just got impounded. Went down, got it towed out of the impound, and it's all good.
And so the vehicle was there. Now I'm curious.
Where is he getting money for all of this?
Any of the body panels inside?
Where is he getting money for all this? I'm having a problem. He's working one day. Malehya has 3 children. There are literally 5 or 6 people or 7 people living on the property. Janie McKenzie, Daniel Martell, Daniel's brother potentially, Daniel's girlfriend Malehya, her 2 children plus their combined child, Meadow. You're talking about 6 to 7 people at this property. How in the world did Malehya, living at home, being a stay-at-home mom, you just heard him go through how difficult it is to be a stay-at-home mom. So you have a stay-at-home mom and she can afford a 2017 Nissan Pathfinder, an SUV. And he has a traffic incident again where he's only working one day at the local lumber yard. And he's able to not only buy a car, but have a traffic incident where they impound the car. He has money to take out the impound, to get the car out of the impound, and to put the car into his name. Where in the hell is all this money coming from? Where is the money coming from? There's money going into this house, but there's nobody working. Where's the money coming from?
Out of place? Did it appear?
No,
it wouldn't do anything.
No, it went straight to the tow yard. Nothing was different on it. Nothing was moved. It was just nothing was touched in it.
If investigators wanted to go through it, would you have?
Investigators knew about my vehicle being impounded. I even said to the investigators, like, you should seize that as evidence and then give it back to me so I don't have to pay the impound fees. Like that's how much I joke with investigators, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's not,
so you got your vehicle.
That's not somebody that's serious. There's 2 children missing and he's joking about taking a vehicle so he doesn't have to pay. Like, this is not normal behavior of people that are missing children, folks. Do you think you're going to be acting this way if you have a child missing? Don't tell me people grieve differently. They got to be grieving in order to be grieving differently. I don't see grief on this man's face. I'm very concerned here. I won't lie.
Vehicle back, the property with the cadaver dogs. Now, you know, they show up. How much advance notice did you have that they were going to be at your property?
I didn't have any notice. I didn't know what day they were coming, what hour they were coming. It was on Monday. I literally got home at 1 o'clock. My visit was over at 12 o'clock with Meadow. So I got home around 1 o'clock because it's an hour drive. And I pulled into the yard and the SUVs were there. The picture or video I sent you, that was at the blanket site. That's when I knew the dogs were in Lansdowne.
Gotcha. And so I know that there was news out there, you know, that the RCMP reported it to the news. So if they didn't report it, you wouldn't have had any knowledge?
No, I didn't know what day they were coming. I didn't know what time they were getting, you know, from the airport or wherever, how they were shipped, the dogs. So.
And so from the time that they did notify you, I'm assuming that they did, or did they just knock on your door and say, hey, we're here?
No, I wasn't even home at the time. They must have just came right into the yard and Mom was there but they were searching for only about an hour before I arrived on scene, like before I arrived home.
So they started the search when he was at.
They were still there searching?
Yeah, they.
So it sounds like they started the search when he was known to be in. So this is interesting. So what I'm hearing here, when it comes to these cadaver dogs, they didn't tell Daniel they were coming with the dogs. They actually told the news, and the news reported that the cadaver dogs were coming in, and that's how Daniel found out that the cadaver dogs were coming in. And so it sounds like he went to go to his visitation with Meadow, and at the time, because he says when he got back, they had already been there an hour. So that means by the time he was done with Meadow, it took him an hour to drive back, and he would have, they had been there an hour. So it sounds like they knew when his time was with Meadow and decided to coordinate it around it. That's what I would assume, because they went on the property without him there, and he was not notified that they were bringing the dogs there. So this was kind of like a secret operation, so to speak, but not. He knew that the dogs were coming in, but didn't know when they were coming in.
They didn't hardly make it anywhere. They must have been talking to Mom for the first little while, because literally they were right outside the end of the house, like by the bedroom. They were just walking around, you know. So, and then I walked up to them. I said, hey, you know, can I walk up to you and the dog, right? Yeah. Being respectful, obviously.
Yeah. And did they allow you to walk with them throughout the search?
Yeah, I did walk with them for, you know, some of it, but then, you know, it's like, I don't want to get in the way. They were asking me where they should search and stuff like that. So, you know, I just told them, you know, do whatever you need to do. There's the beaver pond out back. There's the marsh right beside the house. Like, these are wetland areas, so the ground's much softer, right?
Yeah.
So I figured, you know what I mean? Those might be good places to start for them.
Yeah. And so they're searching out there. How long was the dogs while you were there? Obviously they were there for a little bit before you got there, but how long were they there on your property while you were there?
3 hours maybe. That was only one dog. The very first day, there was only one dog.
And did
on the property? It was a black shepherd.
And did the handler have him on a leash, or did he let him free roam?
They free roamed while they were in the yard, but when they took them onto the paved road, they had them on leashes. The leashes were like just rope that was like 20 feet long or something like that.
Good deal. Good deal. And so the first day comes, they search, and it was just one dog. They leave. Second day comes in. Is it a different dog? Is it the same dog? Or
they brought in, I believe on the second day, they brought in both dogs.
Okay. And they searched it at the same time, or was it one after another?
They had them. They were both. I kind of want to say both together, but like they weren't walking right over each other's footprints, right?
Gotcha.
So,
and so they search out there. How long were they there on the second day?
On the second day, they did 3 or 4 hours too, but they left a little bit earlier because they wanted to go back and do the pipeline and stuff too, right?
Gotcha.
Well, they didn't leave earlier. They just moved directions. So they were still searching. So it sounds like 4 hours one day, 4 hours the next day. Let's keep continuing, find out how many more dogs. But I think they're off the conversation about the cadaver dogs, unless they're talking about the cadaver dogs being there for multiple days. But we'll clarify
free
that.
roam again off the leash and the property?
Yeah. Whenever they were on the property, they were always free roam. And they had fun chasing the cat around, smelling the chickens. They went inside the chicken coop. The dogs actually did not go underneath the house. We lifted up, the door on the side of the skirting, and I was the one who crawled under there. I think I told you that in a message.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
they were pointing to you to go to certain places and uncover things and stuff.
Yeah. I didn't. I felt bad for them. I didn't want to get their their pretty uniforms dirty.
There you go. Go. And so they're out there and they leave that area. They go out to the where the boot print was. Is that the last time they searched your house, or was there a third one?
I'm not sure if they came back or not, because
I find it interesting because, a lot of people that are manipulative or narcissistic, sociopathic, you have this overwhelming need of people pleasing, and that helps them with their craft, so to speak, them getting people on board with them, believing them, him wanting to be overly helpful and helping those officers not dirty up their pretty suits, as he stated it. It could be a way of, warming up to the agent so it makes it harder for them to believe that you did stuff that you could have been potentially able to do. I don't understand why law enforcement would allow him, because if he did uncover evidence, now what would be the chain of custody of that evidence? It seems very poor policy to have a potential suspect searching under their own house for evidence in their own case. It seems like that was really poor decision on law enforcement because they didn't want to get their suits dirty. Just saying.
On Wednesday, right? It was Monday when they first landed, and then on Wednesday I had to go back and I had a visit with Meadow, so I was gone for majority of the morning until 1 o'clock again.
And did they tell you if they found absolutely anything out there?
I was not notified of anything.
Doesn't sound like they notified him that they were coming out there. So if they're not notifying him, they're thinking something more. If he went from being, them talking to him regularly to them not talking to him and just showing up at the house with cadaver dogs, then they're starting not to believe the parent's story. And I believe they haven't believed the parent's story for some time, personally speaking.
Now, did they tell you they didn't find nothing, or did they just not mention anything? Because could
they
have
didn't
found
mention
anything
anything
and not
to
say
me.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, did they?
But I
think
they were going to be at. But when I went by on my Friday's meeting with after my visit with Meadow, I didn't see any of the vehicles at Northeast Major Crimes, where I've seen them. I've seen one on Wednesday, right? The K9 unit handlers SUV. So I figured what they're doing, they still have the cadaver dogs out, but they're searching different locations now.
Understood. You know, a lot of people were talking about, you know, your uncle's property, and that maybe even, I think Janie has mentioned that she has a 7-acre property out there as well.
Wow.
Do you know if the cadaver dogs and or the search
7-acre
dogs have searched that property?
I'm not sure if they did or not, but
come on, I gotta pause
the
that.
properties are really close to the.
So his uncle, I think that guy that everybody kept calling his dad was actually his Uncle Ron. So it sounds like Uncle Ron has a property, and Janie, his mom, has an additional 7-acre property. So Mom, this is the first time I've heard about this, has an additional 7-acre property. And he does not know if they've sent the cadaver dogs to either one of those properties. That's interesting.
The pipeline. So I imagine they would have walked up and down the sides of the road. So
yeah,
they might have done them. I have no confirmation on that though, Daniel.
Understood. So you don't know.
No.
And would there be any issue if they showed up and said, "Can we search this property?" You think? I'm sure.
Oh no, there would have been no issues. Like my family's 100% cooperative. They would never say no to anything of law enforcement.
Has there been anybody, not necessarily inside your family, but anybody in the neighborhood who hasn't been cooperative?
I know what you're getting at, Daniel. I know what you're getting at. And I'm going to say, I don't know if they were not cooperative, but they weren't happy to be cooperative.
So there's somebody in the community that did not want to cooperate. Is that what I'm understanding here? Is Daniel, obviously Drunk Turkey Show guy, has a good understanding that there was somebody in the community that didn't really want to be cooperating. Who was the person that did not want to cooperate? So let me get here. So someone, I'll put in quotes like neighbor, sounds like a neighbor possibly, that didn't want to cooperate. Cooperate. Okay, so now we got this. Let's go back here. Let's just move this back just a couple seconds. Let's listen to what they have to say.
Has there been anybody, not necessarily inside your family, but anybody in the neighborhood who hasn't been cooperative?
I know what you're getting at, Daniel. I know what you're getting at. And I'm going to say, I don't know if they were not cooperative, but they weren't happy to be cooperative.
And so I know that there was a person who wasn't too fond of the command center being close to their property.
That's right.
Do you know if they denied anybody of entering their property?
I am not 100% sure on that, but it would have been stupid not to let law enforcement on your property. I mean, they're already knocking on the door, and I mean, just by sitting in front of your house, I mean, it's not a wise thing not to let them in.
Yeah, no, I understand. Now, I believe.
So somebody didn't want to let him in.
Believe this person, and I don't know if it's the same person or not, but I believe.
And I keep wondering, is this person related to Daniel in any way, or a friend of Daniel's in any way? I'm curious about that. You know, they're withholding the person's name. It seems like they're being ultra secretive of which neighbor it is. So I guess there's some information out that we need to look into and make heads or tails of it. Yes, you're right, Pamela. Okay, that's good. Who? I don't know. I'm interested.
I believe this person has mentioned a couple of things. One of the things mentions is that he heard a vehicle driving around at 5 a.m.
Ooh, it's the person that did not want to open the door is now the person that heard the vehicle driving around. And that would mean that this person would have been the one up at a ridiculous time in the morning trying to act like they weren't doing anything. So it sounds like another drug addict.
At some point, a 5-speed vehicle. Is there a vehicle that has visited you? Maybe not that night, but in other nights, maybe they're confused about the night that they heard this. Have you ever had a late night visitor with a loud vehicle?
No, I don't know anybody with the 5-speed other than my brother. And my brother has a wife and a family, so he's not.
Brother. And the brother was all there with Janie. Brother, has a wife and family, but brother has a 5-speed. But they're forgetting that Janie has the ATV, which also sounds like a 5-speed vehicle.
Driving out there in the middle of the night.
And is it like a vehicle that's loud?
No, it's a brand new Subaru.
Oh, okay. And so,
and it's not customized or anything either, so there's no loud exhaust or anything like that.
Just like a normal vehicle.
Yeah.
And the area, if somebody were to come to your house, would they have cell service in your home if you had friends over?
What's that? Would they have service?
Yeah. If you invited me over to your home and I went over, would I have cell service at your house?
No. If you put your phone in the window, you might have one bar.
Do people what do you use so that people do have service?
Wi-Fi. We have Starlink.
And when people come to your house, do you share that information so that they can have service, or is that something that's private?
The Wi-Fi is left completely open. I don't know if I want to say that on the internet, but it's left completely wide open.
You may want to close it.
Yeah, after this, I am going to close it, I think.
Yeah, you might want to, because people might pull up close to you and try to log in. But yeah. All right. Now, the reason I ask is because
So that answers a lot of questions. That means that their cell phones would be utilized better off in the house during Wi-Fi calling, hooking up to the they're saying Starlink isn't cheap. Huh. Oh, you're talking about Starlink. Starlink is not cheap. Yeah. No, it's not. It's not. It's pretty expensive. And the equipment's even more expensive. You got to buy the equipment outright. So, like, for me to have a mobile unit, it's anywhere between $600,000 and $45,000, depending on what Starlink unit I want. I about fell over to find out. Actually, I think there's a hub on top of the vehicle that might even be $65,000 or $75,000. So I know that Starlink isn't cheap, but the equipment also isn't cheap to run Starlink. So very interesting stuff. Okay.
Somebody's visiting you, they most likely would connect to the Wi-Fi so they can have service, correct?
Yeah, we left it wide open before people that are stranded on the side of the roads, or law enforcement when they were here, so they would have Wi-Fi, because even when they were in the house, their radios didn't work.
Wow.
Gotcha.
That's scary.
Have you had
there's a lot of reporters that came down from like Montreal that drove down and stuff like that, and they had satellite phones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And have you had parties at your house or anything like that?
No, I don't have parties. I was raising kids and having a family, Daniel.
Now, I know that some people have questioned this a lot. Drug use.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've ever had a problem with?
I've used drugs before in the past. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'll be the first person to say that.
And when did it stop?
It stopped before the disappearance. Obviously, I wasn't using drugs during the search or anything like that.
I don't believe that.
Some of Malehya's family claimed to say.
I don't believe that at all. Sorry, not sorry. I don't believe it.
Gotcha. And is it so? This is a problem from a while ago, or is this a recent problem that you've had?
Well, Daniel, was never really a problem. Like, I wasn't going into any psychosis or being, crazy in any way. I wasn't doing like breaking enters or, doing anything like that.
Listen, I didn't either. I never stole a damn thing from anybody while I was out there doing the stuff that I was doing. And I had a major problem. I went through about $100,000 of my own damn money. But I tell you what, one thing I didn't do is I didn't steal, I didn't break in, I didn't do any of that. So that doesn't determine whether you have a drug problem or not. So that's the most insane comment I've ever made. I wasn't breaking into anybody's houses or doing anything like that. Well, neither was I. But I tell you, when my heart stopped in my living room, it still stopped in my living room.
feeding addiction.
Right. And so,
I do too.
About when was the last time then that she did use?
Much before the disappearance. I can't put an actual day on it.
He can't even keep a straight face. He can't even keep a straight face. I don't believe it. I believe that the family that were complaining that he was in the bathroom smoking meth. I believe he was in the bathroom smoking meth. He was acting like a crazed person. You could tell. You can tell he's got some major drug problems. His teeth are rotting out of his mouth. His front tooth has a freaking cavity in it. I mean, what?
It was much before.
Gotcha. And so
I didn't have any drugs. There was no drugs on the property. There's no meth labs. There's nothing like that. You would have seen me going on handcuffs the very first day if there was drugs, right?
That's not true. They were there
I
for...
would assume so. You know, when they say that there's no...
That's not true. I can tell you right now, the search police, the missing person police aren't the drug police. Just like the homicide police aren't the drug police. Just because you got those things going on in your house doesn't mean the officers there are in there, have the authority or willing to throw you in jail. Because let's face it, a missing child takes precedence over a small drug charge. So they're not going to pick you up on a drug charge unless they absolutely have to. Sorry, not sorry.
No evidence of a criminal offense. I would assume drugs would be a criminal offense.
So, yeah, that's correct. And investigators even told me, they said, Daniel, if you had any drugs, we would just take them. But we know there was no drugs on the property. So.
Oh, we just take them. Yeah. See? He wouldn't go to jail. He just answered that own question. He's trying to act like he would, oh, no, we would just take them. We'd just take them. Yeah, that's exactly what they would. They would just take them. But, you know, the math stuff is usually consumed all in one, you know, session, so to speak. So there might not be a whole lot left over for them to confiscate.
And I know that Malehya's family has mentioned that. Has, to your knowledge, Malehya mentioned that to anybody? Or is that just
I think she did. But, I mean, the narrative's always been targeted at me, right, though, Daniel?
Gotcha.
And you know, I'll stay in the spotlight as long as it takes, because as long as I'm the target, the individuals or groups or whoever has the kids, they're gonna feel more relaxed, and that gives investigators a chance to strike.
So you believe that the kids are alive?
Yes, 100%. I hope every day. I believe the exact same as RCMP do. They didn't go into the woods.
What do you believe happened?
I don't want to go into any theories. I don't want to point any fingers, because I've done that so many times online. So I'm gonna refrain from doing it, Daniel.
Do you think it was an outsider?
No, because on the second day they came out and said this is not an abduction. An abduction means that the individual or parties that took the kids wouldn't be known by the kids. That's what an abduction is. So when the RCMP said it wasn't an abduction, that means the person that has the kids is known by them. Because I was with Malehya for 3 years.
That's inaccurate. An abduction is an abduction, whether it's a parental abduction, a known assailant, or it's a stranger danger. They're still abductions.
I think I may know the person that has the kids, right? Because I was involved in the kid's life and I was involved in Malehya's life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I went to investigators with every single lead I have, and they listen, but I don't know what they're planning or their plan is, right? Because they don't let me in on that stuff, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
But they always just tell me, don't pursue any leads, don't fly.
Well, I will tell you this. I don't believe that cops believe that Daniel knows where these kids are. Because if he went to the cops and says, I think I know who has the kids, and tells them, even though he doesn't want to speculate on the show who may have the kids, he just acknowledged he told law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't get the children back, which they would have went and followed that lead if he knew where the kids were. Instead, they got cadaver dogs. I want that to resonate with all of you out there. He tells them that he thinks he knows, that he believes these children are alive, and he thinks he knows who has them. Told law enforcement that. And law enforcement chose to get cadaver dogs and go search his property. Just to put it in perspective.
Any drones, don't follow anybody, which I don't, so.
That's good advice. You
Yeah.
don't want to put yourself in a bad position.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have so many people following me and drones and everything else. So.
Yeah. No, I've heard, and your guys' lives should not be like that.
Yeah.
And so I know you mentioned, and we'll be kind of closing it off here pretty soon. You mentioned that you want some more polygraph tests. You've included yourself in that as far as that you're willing.
Oh, 100%. I told investigators, I'll do as many polygraphs as it takes.
Well, the polygraph administrator needs to get their shit together first and foremost. Separate the children. Make them very simple, single-line questions. Streamline those questions. Ask everybody the same questions. Aw, thank you, Lady 7-Up. I appreciate it. Guys, we got about 4 minutes. 4 minutes, 9 seconds left to help with the goal. If you guys would like to help, it's not required, but always appreciated. And the best way you can help us for free of charge, is hitting that like button and sharing this live out to your family and friends.
And you don't have to give names, but are there people in specifics that you want to take polygraph tests?
Yeah, there's many people that are involved in the case, including the individual or individuals that found the part of the blanket. They were never polygraphed.
Cheryl.
Interesting. And so you want those that found certain things to also be polygraphed as well.
Yeah, because I think the people that found the only possible evidence during the search, they should probably be polygraphed.
I agree with that. I believe that. It was Cheryl that found the pink blanket. Cheryl's connected to best friends with Malehya, who packed that 60-gallon bag. That has not yet been answered. Oh, thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. Thank you. Who... We know that it was either Daniel or Malehya that packed that 60-gallon bag with whatever was thrown out in the garbage can. We know Daniel went out there with a friend and a camera going when he went to go check that garbage can. Ultra suspicious behavior. But now we have Daniel having ultra suspicious behavior, and we have Malehya's friend being the one that found the pink blanket in the tree. But she was one of the first people that said, I can't believe, thank you. Not much, but it always is. I appreciate it. Thank you. It always helps. Vicky, always. But Cheryl's the one, from my understanding, that found the pink blanket or recalled the pink blanket, took a picture of it, and took it to law enforcement or Malehya. So I agree, Cheryl needs to be polygraphed. Never really liked her to begin with. She's up to no good. I don't know why. When she went and took her friend out to a beach, while her friend has missing children, that was the most bizarre thing I think I've ever seen. And then to try to justify the behavior, I'm here. If my friends were going through the same thing and were missing their children, the last thing I would be doing is recommending a play date for me and my friend. Okay. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work like that in the real world. When you have children missing, who the hell has time for beach? Who the hell has time to think? Your only focus is your children. Your grief. You're stricken with grief. Oh, thank you, Veronica. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Oh, ER Blues, I missed you. Thank you, showing some love. I appreciate it. Oops, let me get back up there. I'm sorry. It moved up on me. There we go. So it's showing some love. I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. Oops. What did I just do? Oh, I hit. What did I do? I guess I accidentally hit Sonia's channel. If you guys need a custom shirt, don't forget to hit Sonia up. Sonia's got some cute stuff. I was looking at some of the stuff she's been putting out on TikTok. She's got some cute stuff, some real cute stuff. Not just, and don't think you go to Sonia for Bullhorn Betty stuff. She's a custom shirt person. She can do whatever you want her to do. You want something cute. You want something for your children. You want a matching shirt for the grandkids. You know, for your vacation. You want something cute for Christmas. That everybody, you know, are you having a family reunion? Get with Sonia. Now's the perfect time to get those must-have Christmas ideas done, designed, and off and shipped to you now, so your Christmas shopping's done and over with. It's October. You're running out of time, folks. Everybody loves custom items. Everybody loves custom items. So get your custom item for Sonia today.
Considering that their involvement, right?
You know, there's some interesting things that have been said that, you know,
anytime.
I was talking to Darwin once as well, and he mentioned that when he was talking to Malehya, that there was, before the disappearance, there was conversation of her with the family talking about potentially leaving you. And that when he went and spoke to her, like, hey, is this true? She said, don't worry about it. I got another plan, or something to that nature. And
yeah,
so,
I can tell you the actual story on that if you want to hear it.
Yeah,
I want to hear it.
Because I know Darren too, so.
Yeah, how, from your point of view, how did that go down?
And okay. Patty, which is Malehya's grandmother, asked Darren, you know, I don't think Malehya wants to be with Daniel anymore. This is 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
Do you think, Darren, you can go and get Malehya? Darren's like, no, I'm not breaking up in a relationship. Like that's a relationship. Like I'm not going to get involved in somebody else's, you know, life. Right. Which makes sense. That was a smart thing by Darren to do. So this is 2 weeks prior. And so then Patty calls Malehya and asks Malehya, you know, if you ever just want to, you know, get away, you can come live with me. And then that's when Malehya said, no, Patty, I have a different plan.
So it sounds like, just based upon this, there were some true problems in their relationship. There were true problems in the relationship that clearly Malehya's family as well as Daniel's family knew about. Did I hit the wrong thing again? Yes, I did. And my biggest problem with all of this is, at the beginning, everybody's acting like there was no problems. Janie said that she would have stayed by there if Malehya really did truly wanted to leave her son. And I said, that's not what a mom sounds like if there was no control or abuse there. Butterfingers, yeah, I know, I'm hitting all kinds of buttons over here. Just not the right ones. Just not the right one.
I don't care.
Just thought I'd throw that one out there because I don't, you know. Just saying. But Malehya, it sounds like her grandmother was saying, hey, if you want to come here, you can come here. And then all of a sudden she has another plan. And everybody keeps trying to believe these kids are alive. And I don't know what kind of plan she has. But I have to think that she would rather have her children than not have any of her children. But who knows?
And this was told to me by Darren, which had access to both sides of the family, right?
Yeah.
The only person that had access to both sides is Darren and the investigators.
Huh.
So.
Do you think that any dogs or any searches are going to...
And also, Daniel, I want to add to that. This is backed up in the court case with Meadow. And in one of the affidavits, it does state that Malehya wanted to leave 2 weeks prior, but then decided to stay. So that's some evidence that back that up.
It's an odd timing of things.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's extremely odd.
It is. It's odd timing, and
for Malehya to say that, a little bit more odd.
It is. Like, you know, I completely understand when Darren says some of the things that he says referencing her, you know, her actions or behaviors. You know, I know you mentioned.
How do we know Daniel didn't punish her by hurting her kids? I mean, there's a lot to be said here. Because clearly their relationship was really, really bad. Now we're learning that Malehya wanted to leave him 2 weeks prior to. 2 weeks prior to, and chose to stay. Why did she choose to stay? Was it because he forced her to stay? Was it because she chose to stay because she had no place for her children? And if that's the case, what say you now? I agree with you, Jerry Lynn. I'm not with Darren. I don't like Darren. I think Darren's full of crap. I think, the more and more I look at this, I feel like Malehya did something and Daniel helped her cover it up, or vice versa. But still, it's the two people are fighting between themselves. And he's throwing her under the bus, she's throwing him under the bus, right? So it's telling me that it's between the two of them. All this other stuff to me is just red herrings. It's all bullshit. Okay? The name of the game is trying to find out where these kids are and what parent put them there. I think both of the parents are involved. I don't think, one helped the other. That's the way I'm looking at this. Now, who did the dirty? Who helped? I don't know. But I do believe that we're looking at, it's Malehya and I don't think Janie's involved. I don't think his brother's involved. I don't think his daddy or his uncle or anybody else is involved. I think it's between Malehya and him. And one did something, and one helped cover it up.
No.
Hush! Delilah! Stop it! I'm going to bring you in here. Come.
The one time that you've talked to her, what was the second time?
The first time was just that hello on the phone when she was fleeing to the reserve. And then as soon as she heard my voice, she immediately hung up the phone, right?
Okay.
So,
wow.
But by that time, I already heard the background noise. She wasn't a moving car. So Darren was actually correct on that. And Darren's correct on a lot of things. So.
And the second time?
And the second time was when she filed the report or complaint to CPS about me. We can go into the first complaint after this. But the second complaint was after investigators came and, got all Jack and Lily's belongings. There was some letters that were received in the mailbox here. And so there was 3 letters. There was one to Lily, one to Jack, and one to Malehya. They were all from Nova Scotia Health Authority.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they were health cards or not or something, but because I wasn't going to go look through the mail because that's a federal offense to go through someone's mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was the 3 letters and there was Jack and Lily's tablets, right? So there was a tablet each. And there was 3 letters. Malehya was coming out of CPS, so I walked up. When she opened up her trunk, I seen her, I walked up, and I put the 3 pieces of mail and the 2 tablets in their trunk, and I said, have a good day, Malehya, and walked away, and then went in and had my visit with Meadow.
Mm-hmm. And she reported you for that?
Yeah, she reported me for that. But when I walked up to her, the odd thing was when she seen me, she smiled. So I'm not sure what went on there, but I wasn't extremely overly nice when I set the stuff down. I set it down and I said, have a good day, Malehya, just like that. So I wasn't trying to be overly nice or overly mean, right? It was kind of neutral.
And what did CPS tell you about that interaction?
CPS told me, if Malehya felt really caught off guard by it.
I hear we having troll problems.
Sneaky gremlins love to fight, but we're here to set it right. Jump and duck, let's take a shot. Turning trolls into what they're not. Whack a troll, let 'em tumble, let 'em roll. Swing your spatula or a stick. Whack 'em fast, whack 'em quick.
Alrighty. Let's keep going.
And it was, she didn't like it when I walked up and handed her mail. But then why would she smile, right? Which adds a whole nother layer to that. situation. But they just said, CPS mainly just said to me, you know, if you have mail that comes for her, or you want to, there's something you have to give her, just give it to us and we'll give it to her.
So they're basically keeping them all apart. That's what they seem to be doing. We're going to stop right there. We're going to be coming back. We've got a whole list of notes to take. I think the interesting thing is Patty, where they were on the 30th, where Lily got the black eye, is the paternal grandmother of Malehya's grandmother. And they were there the night before, you know, all this, 2 days before all this happened. So I'm interested to find out what Malehya's family knows. But they're awfully quiet for an entire family missing 2 grandchildren. And I'm very interested in that situation. So at the end of the day, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you.